So good afternoon, everybody. We're a minute late. Here we go. So this is our weekly update number 73, and we're back live after a week off last week. Today we are going to be talking about the usual, so a few residencies. We're going to be talking about a bit of residency, a bit of news about visas. We're also going to be doing Jane Says. We've got our YouTube comments, and at the end we are going to be doing Italy versus Spain, because I came back from a 4-day trip in Italy, which means evidently now I'm a complete expert after 4 days. But no, only joking. But I have got some comments from our friends here at Upsticks about what's best, Italy versus Spain. I thought it was quite a good title. So stick around for our weekly update number 73. So, yep, number 73. Can you believe it? I'm probably going to say that was in about 200. I'll be saying, can you believe it? Weekly update number 200. But anyway, so yeah, it's been what's the week been like this week here at Upsticks? Well, it's been a good week. I had some time off last week, and first of all, I do want to say thank you for all of our clients, friends, and collaborators who work with us, because I did have 3 days off during the week, and I didn't hardly get any emails at all. The team here did a great job. It turns out that it can live without me, which, because I'm terrible. So I'm like, what's that? What's this? So yeah, and I had a really good time. So it was really nice to have that time off, and came back very refreshed and smashing the visa workout when we got here. So yeah, and it's been a good week this week, though very warm. We've moved into our summer hours, so in theory we should be shutting the door at 2. Then we always wrap up and get home a bit earlier because of the heat, as you can see. That's working really well at the moment, but next week we will be starting earlier and ending earlier, like everybody else in Spain who works in the offices. So we've got 11 people on. I'll just go into the chat and see who is on the chat today before we get cracked into our weekly update. And Ant and Kez are on. And buongiorno. Yes, now I have to say that the having a bit of Spanish, being fluent in Spanish, or a bit of Spanish, being fluent in Spanish, does help a little bit in Italy. Not much, the moment they start going fast, no, but definitely we're having a real laugh with our Duolingo and Google, and I did manage to order a couple of meals in Italian. There you go, Stu and Joe on. Buonasera. Yes, good afternoon. And they say that the Italians could get more people on a scooter. That is true. I saw a lot of Vespas, I can tell you that. Buenas tardes, Chris. How you doing, Robbo? And Patricia's on. Hi, Chris. Hope you had a good holiday. Done Italy a few times and love Sorrento. Still hanging in there. Yeah, hanging in there, waiting for the visas. Don't worry, they'll be out soon. And yeah, Italy was fantastic. We're going to go into that in a bit. And we've got 15 people on now. And there's Robert Stubbs. Rob, how you doing? Hi, Chris, on the way back from BLS. Well, this is a good way to kick off the show, isn't it? They've had their appointment today. Well done to Robert and Elaine. And there we go. This is virtually live, this photo. That we're coming more or less live from the BLS centre there in London earlier on. So yeah, there we go. Look at that. That's it was London you went to. And my brain's gone now. Let me just double check. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. A minute. Yes, of course it was. Yeah, that is London. Dear me. There we go. So there's Robert and Elaine in London, and they actually sent me, you won't mind me reading this out, will you? They sent me a feedback, which is very, very important always to get the feedback from our clients and read it out. So, hello, Chris, quick update following our appointment today. It was rather busy as you predicted, and I did feel a little, it did feel a little chaotic with the amount of people in both inside and outside. Everyone had to queue despite having allocated appointment times. Appointment itself took around 20 minutes, but we waited around 45 after our scheduled appointment time before we were seen. had to complete our occupation on one form, which would have been the national visa application form maybe, and didn't need driving license or utility bills as bank statements were proof of address. When we were handed these back, staff did say better to have too much than not enough. That's great. That's our motto here. Overall, very good and straightforward experience with fantastic staff. Now we wait selfie to follow in case it's wanted for your channel. There you go. Well done. And we also added that to our bunch of selfies that we've got to make a video at the end of the year. Yeah, that was great. What else is happening in the world of residencies and visas? Well, I've actually been out on a couple of appointments. I was out today at a Tom of the Way appointment in Malaga, and also a card pickup appointment. And then on Tuesday, I was in Marbella on appointments, and the rest of the team have been out and about. And I want to thank the Carters for buying us a McDonald's. Thank you, guys. That was I had my chicken wings today, because I don't really do the burgers or anything from McDonald's. I'm not really that keen, but I do like the chicken wings. So I had the chicken wings and a gazpacho, and Jane enjoyed her McDonald's as well. So we've put that in the McDonald's pot, but we've already spent it, I'm afraid, today. So that was good. And what else do we have now in terms of visas which have been released this week for you? NLV guys, this was going to be interesting for you. So anybody who's applying or going through renewals, here's a bit of info. So we've had Malaga. We had one visa released where the appointment was in Manchester. From the appointment was the 31st of March, and the visas arrived on the 26th of June. So that's been the 12-week point, isn't it? So that just gives you a clue as how Manchester are doing at the moment. We have had one from London going to Malaga, which took 6 weeks. We've had an approval through for an EU family member here in Malaga. So just don't, for those of you who don't know, if you're married to an EU citizen, you want to live in Spain, the process is first the EU citizen gets the residency, and then the family member has to apply to the government. And that application took 10 weeks here in Malaga, and that was a requirement as well for further documentation added to that. Now, here in Malaga, if you are applying as an EU family member, you must understand that if you've got a account abroad, a bank account abroad, you're going to be using as your financial proof of stability, you will have to have that notarized, apostilled, and translated. Okay, that's just the way it is now. Most of the time, we used to get away with just translations, but definitely for EU and EU family members, that's what they're asking for across the board. We also had an NLV renewal approved after 8 weeks in Alicante, and that was also with a requirement because it was an online bank account that we tried to use. And albeit it was in Spanish, they didn't accept it, but they had done a tax return in Spain, which met the minimum required amount. So we submitted that. The tax return hadn't been done in the first submission, had been done by the second, and they accepted that as proof of the earnings for the visa. So there we go. That was all we've got to talk about residencies. I think that's all we've got. See, now I've got this microphone feed gets in the way of my folder that I've got here, you see. Oh yeah, this is something else that I wanted to show you as well for those of you who are getting your NLVs and stuff. As we know, you've seen probably on social media, there's been an awful lot of talk about getting stamps on bank account statements, which isn't always possible if you've got online statements, but it is possible for high street accounts. They are doing it. We've seen more and more. And here's an example of one from NatWest. So this was one that we've seen today from NatWest, which was sent across to us. I've just obviously done a little bit of GDPR, taking out some information there and signatures. But yeah, that is the kind of stamp that we are seeing on UK bank account statements from high street accounts at the moment. What else did I pluck out to show you? This is something that I wanted to show you. Hang on a minute. It seemed to calm down, and now it's started again. Spam. Be very, very, very careful. Now, most mobile devices pick up the fact that these text messages are actually spam, but this is one which relates to correos. So it says, we've tried twice to deliver your package. Hit this link, and you can readjust, the delivery time. That is a complete spam. Look at the link. It says track correos, but it's a con. Be very careful. And also, all of these organizations wouldn't just send you a text alone. We do an awful lot with couriers and stuff like that. They normally drop you an email, they'll drop you a phone call. It wouldn't just be a text. And any links, be very, very, very careful if they come through a text, especially if you're not waiting for anybody or anything. And before we carry on, I'm just going to ask you, if you are watching this and you haven't subscribed, please do so, because I didn't get a screenshot of this before I started, but we still haven't reached 4,500 subs yet, which has been like this for nearly 2 weeks. Now, I always say I don't do it for the subs, but it is quite nice to see them go up. Where are we? Hang on a minute. Here we go with the analytics. I should look at my account. Here we go. I can't find where we are now with the subscribers. Here we go. Here we are. 4,497. Can't see that probably with a light. Only 3 more. Come on, we can do that by the end of the show, guys. Go and grab your neighbor's mobile. But if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, only 50% of the people watch our channel actually subscribe. It's free. So subscribe, please. Right then, so that was our residency side of things. Let's come over here and go to the design section of this software. As we speak, as I put that YouTube on, I'm looking out the window at fighter jets right now as we speak, coming into Malaga. Literally, I don't know if you can hear them. What would that be, an F-16 or something? Or maybe it's the Eurofighter, I don't know. There you go. Fighter jets in Malaga Airport live. We have got a military base next door to Malaga Airport, by the way, as well. So it's not like they just turned up randomly. We do see them quite a bit, but a lot of activity lately from military aircraft. So YouTube, where are we with the YouTube? So let's bring up some YouTube comments for you. Oh, actually, no, I was missing this from when I'm talking about residency now. I had to get a WhatsApp message with no expletives in it. A lot goes on behind the scenes. I don't mind. When we're talking about Spanish administrations and stuff, we often have to get it off our chest, and expletives in all languages happen. But this is just to show you what goes on behind the scenes. Okay, trying to book appointments. So this is the team that are trying to book appointments. They are so hard to get. And you can see there that 4 appointments all gone clicked. I couldn't get any. There was only a few slots came up and they went for me. This is like a group chat. Phone is bloody slow today. On top of it, I've only got one sort the laptop out. Oh, well, we go again tomorrow, because they only open the appointments in certain areas for seconds. Yeah, my phone seems to slow down. It wasn't the phones, it was the system we were trying to book on. Just to show you what goes on behind the scenes, guys. And that's 4 people there a certain time of day trying to book on a digital system. So if you do get appointments with us, please go to them. There's no way we can change them, because they're so hard to get at the moment in Spain. So and before we get into our comments, I just wanted to show you this. This was a lovely review from John. Cheers, John. We first spoke to Chris at Upsticks in August last year. Yes, it's been time consuming, and there's been much effort required from both them and us throughout the process, but it's been worth it. Thank you, Upsticks. We could not have done it without you. Needed to say, if you're thinking about it, give Chris at Upsticks a call, John and Jill. Yeah, that's a non-lucrative visa. Yeah, it's a huge effort that not only us, but you guys go to get yourself organized. And I have to say, I have a newfound respect now for, it's not really a newfound respect, but a newfound understanding of moving to Spain how daunting it can be if you don't speak the language, because, you know, we're in it all the time. We speak the language. So for someone who doesn't, which when I went to Italy, I don't speak Italian, and I've got a brief bit of understanding because it's similar to Spanish in many aspects. But being somewhere where you don't speak the language is daunting, isn't it? You know, and that's what you guys are going through when you come to Spain, and maybe something that we don't take into account as much, because for us it's like we understand it. So yeah, it's definitely a newfound understanding of someone moving to Spain, you know, just the language and looking at forms, which you're thinking it's all gibberish, you know. It is so difficult for you. And let's get to chat, shall we, before I crack on with YouTube. And I guess I don't know what's that mean. I left my vest and socks there. I wonder if they're probably not. I left a pair of undies there as well, behind the I couldn't pick them, so someone's going to find some of my undies there in Italy. It's an older person's silly comment of the day for you. And more thumbs up. Yeah, come on, let's get some more thumbs up. 18 people watching. Neil Bacon, Pullman snap vests were fine with the 12-month request. Yeah, they've been very, very good. I have to say, the more and more that it seems, right, that excuse me, I have my coffee. That, you know, talking to other people who organize other things as well, that visas across the world, they request stamped bank account statements. It's just Spain weren't doing it in BLS before on the consulates, and now they are. It seems that the banks are being quite good with it. Rube 101, spam unsolicited calls. Yeah, blacklist of deleting numbers makes no difference here. Yeah, same here. The law was supposed to have been passed to stop it, and it hasn't done. And Stu said 4,490 subscribers. Really good, Chris. Great to see your channel going. Cheers. See if we can get to 500 by the end, shall we? Right then. So let's check out the YouTube comments, and we've got some screenshots here which I've taken, and then we'll move on rapidly to the main topic. I said shock heat wave for our last update. Hi, Chris. Couple of things. Here we go. A couple of things. Do you ever use the Northern Ireland Brexit protocol for helping people import vehicles from UK? It seems easy enough. This comment went on, and I forgot to screenshot the whole thing. Patrick O'Connor says, nice place from our driving through the streets of Locher short. Cheers. I've been getting some shorts up from Locher and Granada from where we were there. The Northern Ireland Brexit protocol. No, we don't. And I'll tell you why, because it's sort of a work around the tax. Okay, so I don't want to get too into it because there are other companies which use this system where they will register a V5 in Northern Ireland at a temporary address and then bring the vehicle to Spain. And when it gets registered in the VGT, they say it's not registered in the UK. It's registered at an address in Northern Ireland, and then it's not liable for any import tax or a DUA document, which is the waiving of the tax or the paying of the tax in customs here. We don't use it because we think it's far too risky. The tax office here are quite good at looking at ways of getting tax money off of people, and it could, I think, if you were moving over and they can prove that the address where your vehicle was registered at wasn't yours, it was just a way of getting around paying any tax, and I think it could be a problem. So the correct way to do it is take your vehicle through customs. Now, we are quite lucky because most of the vehicles we do are the clients that we're working with, and they are coming here to live, which means we can waive the tax anyway. So with the correct documentation, if you're doing it for change of resident, you go to customs, you get the document which proves that you can waive the tax. So we wouldn't need to use the Northern Ireland protocol. So we don't use it with our vehicles because we don't have an address in Northern Ireland to essentially be a fake address, I suppose, I don't know, or an address of somebody where we could register the V5 for it to come over here and circumnavigate the customs import for a British car. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm not saying it's right, just we don't do it, basically. There are companies that do it, and they do it very successfully, and I've never heard of anybody having any problem, but we don't do it. So what else have we got here? Return to Spain, much more. Oh yes, that was another one of our weekly updates. Kelvin, who I'm catching up with next week. Hi Chris, another good video. Enjoy, keep them coming. Cheers. And Patrick said, interesting show. Yeah, I'll check it out. Our motorhome, non-lucrative visa versus living in a motorhome in Spain. Very interesting video. That check it out and give it some likes. And oh, that's one that we've already done, haven't we? Can't tell that I only did this about 4 minutes ago. And this is on last week's. Love the new song, Chris. Great work from Neil and Sue. Get me to Spain. Did you play last week's video right to the end? If you didn't, play it to the end and check out our new song. I'll be playing it next week as well. Strody, great tune. Cheers. Check it out at the end of the video. Patrick said, when a tree falls in the forest, there's no one there to hear it. Does it make a sound? Good question. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Chris, there isn't. Chris isn't there. It really is update number 71. Could you call the song Energía? I asked anybody what the name of the song. So Energía is the first one in the hat. Check out our last weekly update. Scoot all the way to the end, and you'll see a fantastic song on there that was done to us from Neil from Get Me to Spain, and it's going to be our theme tune for the summer, I think. And have we got any more comments on YouTube? No, we haven't. So we've mixed up a bit this week, haven't we? We're going to go now to the next section, which is Jane Says. Now, Jane, you know, my colleague who sits suffering opposite me when she's in the office, and she works on the stage 2 side of things. She's always got something to say and some useful advice for you rather than me just waffling on. And her advice today is, if I could get the piece of paper, what did I put there? Here we go. So her advice today was, okay, the sunshade. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago as well, but I was out on appointments today and it was hot and there was no shade. And basically in Malaga, what happens, Malaga Center, the police station, there's a barrier and it's in full sun, and the police are in the shade. There is room to let people stand in the shade, but no, that's not going to happen. There's a barrier there, loads of room for the police to walk around, and then you stand in the sun, and there's shade by the trees behind you. So the policeman was on time today, have to say, calls out 12:15. Anybody from 12:15? And then there's a big rush of people getting in queue. Everybody stand in a line. So everybody stand in a line, and then you stood in line, and as he's calling out and fighting with people, and you're trying to get to the front, you stood in absolute full sun. Other police stations don't even have the shade. Okay, so if you are going to your appointment this time of year, make sure you've got a parasol or you've got a hat. Make sure you've got some water with you. Make sure you've got a fan with you. Check out the areas of shade before you go. Google map it. Just make sure you're prepared for the sun. Now, I don't mean go down in your flip-flops and your beach gear because you are going to a national police station, but I mean just be aware that you could be stood in the sun for a few minutes or a bit longer. So that is Jane Says today is this time of year, be prepared for the sun when you're going for your appointment at the police station, which may seem like it's something obvious to say, but it's not that obvious, is it? Because you might think, I'm going to the police station, you sat inside, it's going to be air conditioning. When the truth is you have to stand outside and wait to go in, and that could be in full sun. So there you go. That's what Jane Says today. And going back to our chat, and Stu and Jesse, don't understand how much it's appreciated having someone from Upsticks with us at the appointments to help translate. Yeah, you know, it's been our thing. You know, to be honest with you, that was my thing from the start. Was we have to have someone at every appointment. I don't care where it is, whether it's in Valencia, whether it's in Murcia. The early days of Upsticks, I did an awful lot of driving myself. I can tell you, thousands of kilometers to go to appointments because a lot of companies, because the TIE card is the simple bit, apparently, they don't send people on their own. And I ended up helping 2 people today at the police station being sent on their own by a company. They gave them the pack, but they just stood there going, I don't even know how to get in, let alone present my documents. So, yeah, that's an obsession of mine. And I'm glad that it, you know, it's great that you see that. You don't underestimate it because you need someone there. You need someone there. I think you were with Julie, weren't you? Stu and Joe, you went to yours. And Robert said we went to the Fiesta San Juan on Monday. Fantastic experience, finishing with a 25-minute fireworks display at midnight. Finally got home at 1:30, knackered the next day. Getting too old. Yes, they go on for a long time, these fiestas, don't they, Robbo? They do. I tell you, I struggle with the Spanish timetable this time of year. I've got some of my friends coming over tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, they're coming early afternoon for a couple of beers, and then we said we'd have a barbecue. But it's it's always eat at 10 and sit and talk, and and if they're coming to my house, so I feel a bit bad about 12 o'clock going, I'm going to go to bed now, because I quite like getting up early and moseying around in the morning, whereas especially at the weekend, whereas they'll sit and talk till 2, 3, even when it's not a fiesta. So when it is a fiesta, you can't imagine, but you got to get used to the timetable here. And Anka said English, French, German twist us. Yeah, still learning Italian, not hugely helpful, maybe an older demographics issue though. Haha. I thought Italian was quite good. I definitely will apply myself a bit more for our next trip, because we will be going back. And Paul Daly, hi Chris, I'm going back to the UK next week for a few days. My question is, am I right in thinking I show my tie with a passport and shouldn't get stamped? And the same on return? Well, I advise, that's a very, very good question, because the problem you've got, if you don't get a stamp out, and there seems to be no consistency of the border guards when you're showing your TIE card, whether they want to stamp your passport or not, and you don't want to have irregular stamps. So I would show your passport and get the stamp in it. That's what I would do, because it shows you stamp out, you stamp in, and there's absolutely no qualms as to how long you've been out of the country and how long you've been in the country at all. And you need the stamps to prove how long you've been out when you finally get to your permanent residency in, Paul. So no, just show your passport, get your stamp in and out, and that's it. I think that's a better idea than showing your TIE card, then possibly not getting a stamp on the way out and then getting one on the way in, or vice versa. So there you go. Here we go. Graham, how you doing, Graham? Good to see you on. It's Chris. It's been a week now after visiting Manchester City. Just a waiting game now. Thanks for your help up to now. Yeah, just a week, just a waiting game now. And I guess it was like waffling. Yeah, I do waffle a bit. Yes, it was Julie, and she was fab. Yeah, Julie was at your appointment. She's been an absolute, well, I can't tell you behind the scenes what's been going on with Victoria, Julie, Jane, Chris, Tom, with this whole appointment booking mess, where they can't get appointments. And like this morning, for example, we booked appointments for the 16th of August, and then they suddenly came online for tomorrow in Malaga. It's just been a nightmare, and the guys are just dug in deep. Not only we're going to the appointments and helping out our clients, but also with getting the things organized, the wrong details stamped on TIE cards. So yeah, they've been absolute superstars. Right then, so let's move on to our next section, shall we? Which is what we're going to talk about. It's not strictly though about Spain. So the topic for today then, while you're here, I'm going to put the caption up. Don't forget that if you are moving to Spain, you're coming on a non-lucrative visa, or bringing your vehicle here to Malaga, or coming as an EU family member, or getting residency in Spain and looking to retire in Spain, which is a question I want to ask you guys about that actually. I'm going to put this out here into the next week. I'm not going to ask it this week. But I'm going to ask you a very serious question about retiring to Spain next week, and I need your help. You can book a call here at the QR code. Get one booked in, even if you're thinking about coming in a year or so. Get it booked in. Let's have a chat, and let's get you onto our platform and chatting and see what you need to do. For example, I spoke to somebody yesterday's my call day, who's coming in 2027. They said he thought it was far too early to book a call. I said it's far too early to tell you about the current legislation and what the nuances of what they're asking for, but you can always put the structure together. We can have a chat. And it turns out when we did chat, that there was some financial stuff there we really had to look at, which it was involved with the timeline. So he's been referred to someone else to check all that out. Who's going to come back to us, which is ultimately going to decide whether it's going to be 2027 or 2028. Okay, so it's never too early to have a chat. So where are we? We were on the old Italy thing now. Spain versus Italy. What's your opinion, guys? What is better? Evidently, I've been in Italy for 4 days. We went to Lucca, Pisa, Florencia, and the coast as well for a day, just so the kids could have a dip in a pool and the sea. And that makes me now the overall expert of everything Italian. Of course it does. Really. And I only been to tourist destinations as well, so I couldn't tell you what it's like to live in a village in Italy. But I thought this would be a bit of fun, and I've had some great input here from some of our friends here at Upsticks. So, first of all, Jane, who works with me, obviously, and her brother Gareth, who got married, I believe, in Italy as well, gave me some fantastic feedback, and also Scats did as well about what they thought about Italy and Spain versus Italy. And I'm also going to give you my opinion on it as well. So I'd like your opinion on each of these subjects and see if you think we're right or not. So the first thing here that we're picking out here is the living. So Jane said, right, the living in Italy. To live in Italy. Basically, Gareth said that he had a sibling that lives in Spain, so he was always going to go to Spain. But the main concern about Italy was that they had friends with negative experience who were not confident living in Italy without speaking the language. I don't know if you guys know anybody live in Italy, but I know that obviously here in Spain, everybody's a lot more accustomed to having Brits living here. You know, even on the farthest reaches of the towns inland Andalusia, they are used to seeing Brits living in these towns and places. Despite the news, what you see about the backlash against people moving, there's not that much really. It's just very over exaggerated by the news. Is that the same in Italy? Have we got the same competitor in Italy? Does anybody know? Let me know. But we want to go on now to the food side of things. I think food is very important. We might not get through all of these today. Now, according to Jane and her brother, food, close second to Italy, especially if you embrace the cultures of Spain, is a close second to Italy. Now, do I agree with that? I'll tell you enough. And they said that Italy is the best, enough said. Now, that was Jane and her brother. This is Scats. Scats says, Italy famously awesome for food, lots of very simple, fresh, and taste great. Yeah, I'd say they've got the edge. I mean, most things with pasta are brilliant, but they are the masters at pizza. Right, okay then. So basically, it's always been thumbs up over Spain for Italy at the moment with food. Now, I'm not too sure I agree on this. I'm going to have to say now, Italy has some fantastic food. It is amazing. I can't believe, I'm not a pizza fan because me and lactose, not the best of friends. But I have to say, the pizzas that we did have there were just out of this world. It's completely different to whatever pizza I've ever even seen here. And I thought it was, that pizzas, definitely, you're not going to get a pizza like that anywhere. But there's a lot of pizza restaurants, isn't there? There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot everywhere. Pizza. Everywhere I went, it was pizzas. But what they do as well is obviously a lot of cured meats. I wanted to show you this. Now, this was a plate of cured meats that we had, and it stuck right at the top. They actually call it like pancetta. It's like bacon, but it's the smoked bacon. So, you probably would actually cook that in the UK when you fry it. But it's so finely cut and tasty and salty. It's absolutely amazing. We don't really get that sort of cut in Spain. We do get what you see in the middle, the salamis, and at the bottom, the Parma ham. But what I found in Italy was that everything seemed to be slightly lighter. I don't know if you guys agree with this. So Spain seems to be slightly heavier. So the cured meats here in Spain, they seem to go for like a darker, more flavoursome, deeper sort of cured meat. Whereas Italy, everything was light. You know, the Parma ham is very light. You know, I found that even the embutidos, the cured meats they put on the plate was very light. Even the bacon that they had sliced there seemed to be very light. Well, if you look at like the Parma ham compared to a very cured Spanish ham, for example, I mean, for me, I absolutely love that. You know, I can take it or leave it, Parma ham, to be honest with you. I don't think it, but that there is just pure flavor. I mean, that Spanish ham there with that fat is actually more flavorsome than the meat itself. But it's heavier, isn't it? And who wants to be eating that in 40 degrees? You know, so with the food, I'm now also with the wine. What did we find with the wine? Well, the wine, I was blown away. I thought the wine was amazing. Now, here in Spain, to get a decent wine, you know, you can start with 3, 4, 5 euros, but really you've got to go quite high. What I found with Italy was the wines which were slightly lighter in the gradients of alcohol, and especially Chiantis, and they were almost see-through, but they were quite dry and light, not even fruity, because I don't like fruited sweet wines. I don't like sweet wine at all. And that was quite refreshing. I found the wines to be very refreshing, because if you get a sort of a light wine here in Spain, it tends to be quite fruity. So for summertime, I definitely would say the Italian wines that I tried anyway would be a lot better than some of the ones that I have here, which tend to be quite heavy in Spain. So yeah, on that front, it's good. And now talking about food as well, let's show you this. This is another thing I was a big fan of as well. They put rucola, or rucolo as it is in Italy, on everything. Pizzas, pasta, cured meats, and it's fantastic. That is one of my favorite, and it's expensive in Spain. So yeah, that's a thumbs up for Italy. Loved a bit of rucola. The pasta dishes, as you can see, just amazing. It's just fresh tomato. I think that's just the the deal. But there's a lot more variety in Spain sometimes with food. Oh, I didn't get the steak picture up. Again with the steaks. Oh, here we go. Here's a steak picture. Now, this comes on to the cost of living. Here we go. So, I got this list here for Jane as well, which she got off of Numbio, which I'll put the links below, which I forgot to get the JPEG to show you, unfortunately. But the cost of living in Italy is 17.8% higher than Spain, which is excluding the rent, right? Cost of living, including rent, in Italy is 9.1% higher than in Spain. Rent prices in Italy are 14.1% lower than Spain. Here comes the interesting bit. Restaurant prices in Italy are 17.2% higher than Spain. And grocery prices in Italy are 24.1% higher in Spain. I didn't find that. I found the restaurant prices to be cheaper. I found the drink prices in the restaurants are a lot more expensive, and the food is a lot more cheaper. That's what we found. But then I live in Malaga, and everything's gone through the roof in Malaga. It might be different in Murcia, Alicante, and other regions, but I can tell you, compared with Malaga, even in tourist hotspots, I found it very, very, very a lot cheaper than some of the restaurants even here in Alavinda de Torre. Let me know your thoughts, guys. And on that note, check this deal out that we found. This is the center of Florence, just to say. Okay. It was a Florentine T-bone steak, 1 kilo of roast potatoes, a mixed salad, a glass of Chianti wine for 60 euros, which is what we partaked in. And if you wanted a bottle, it was 70. And I have to say, it was one of the most amazing meals I've ever had. So, Italy. Oh, and this is another thing as well. I got into the after the dinner, getting served a very small espresso with a drink called grappa. I wasn't aware of grappa, which was, it turns out I'm the last person in the world to know what grappa is, but grappa was very, very nice. It's a grape based spirit, which I fell in love with in Italy. And here's the guy that fell in love with my wife in Italy. Luckily, she stayed and came back with me and didn't stay there. And but yeah, he was making us some fresh pasta, and we ate that fresh pasta there, which was absolutely amazing. Look at those raviolis. They were raviolis with spinach in them, and they were absolutely fabulous. And yeah, so that was nice. Oh, this is another photo I thought you'd have a laugh at. So this was day one of the holiday. Apparently, it's customary to have liters of beer there as well. Now, I don't know how customary it was, but that's how the waiter sold it to me. So I wasn't going to go against his wishes and not have it. So yeah, but overall, is the food better than Spain? I don't know. I don't think I've experienced enough of Italy to make a concise decision. But at the moment, I'm still with Spain, guys. Still with Spain. Still with Spain, I'm afraid. That's where my heart is. And by the end of the holiday, I was sick to death of seeing cheese, to be honest with you. And that was only 4 days. So talking about driving now in Italy. Well, Jane and Gareth said no indicators, or Spain have no indicators, no clue on roundabouts, only 2 speeds, too fast, too slow, park anywhere and everywhere, just put the hazards on. Such is true, I'm afraid. And Italy, they said nutters, only 1 speed, foot to the floor, lights flashing and horns blaring. Well, that's in the towns and the cities, maybe. Now, I have to say that one of the most scariest drives I've had 2 scary drives in my life. The first scary drive, let's just see what Scat said as well. Scat said, drivers, that's a close one, but Italians are famously the most craziest. Yeah, so my experience with that, well, Spanish have got, I've been here 25 years, and they undoubtedly have got better. Spanish drivers have got better. They've got more conscientious, and we can't take that away from them. My first experience in Italy driving, I'm one of these, I'll get in a car, drive anywhere. I don't care. Center of town, anywhere, doesn't bother me. In fact, I enjoy the adventure. So we got a hire car straight from Pizza, straight to, I want to show you where I parked actually. Just check this out. This is, I mean, look at this. Right next to our apartment, that close to the entire Pizza, no problem at all. That's a good parking spot there. Everybody said, oh, you shouldn't drive to the middle of town. You never find parking. It'll be a nightmare. Nah, straight there. Now, I had a drive once from a place called Kelso, which is on the borders, down to Peterborough on the A1 in the rain in August, believe it or not. And albeit I passed my test in the UK, I'm not that accustomed to driving in the UK anymore. And that was the most scariest drive of my life. It was about 6 hours. It was start, stop. It was raining. We were in a hire car. People were driving like crazy. So, you know, we're saying this about the Italians and the Spanish, but I can honestly say down the A1 from close to Scotland to the UK was the worst driving I have ever seen in my life, and the scariest drive, to the point where actually when we got to Peterborough, we left our kids with the grandparents and we went to a hotel to relax and enjoy ourselves, because it was just an absolute nightmare. My second scariest drive was quite possibly in Italy, and that was to Florence. And that was on our day 2 of the holiday. But it was scary for different reasons. I wouldn't say it was scary and because of the bad driving. It was more scary because of the roads in Italy. Because when you get on the motorways in Italy, okay, there's such a bad condition. Well, I can't talk about all of them, only the ones that I saw, but the roads in general are in terrible condition. The motorways are limited to 80 kilometers per hour because I honestly think that if you drove any faster, your car would just fly off the road. So, and just bounce off, and so a wheel might bounce off. And yeah, they were just busy. And the other thing which was scary was the slip roads have just got no distance. All right. And this is where I'm going to have to hold my hat off to the Italians, because I thought on the slip roads, there's no way I'm getting out of here because these crazy people are going to have people beeping behind me. But they actually respected the slip roads quite a bit and moved over and let me out on most occasions. It is true in the center of towns, they are a bit crazy, but the center of towns are quite controlled. So we drove to a car park which was reserved in the middle of Florence, just outside the ZTL emission zone. and because it was pre-booked, you go in, somebody takes your key, car goes in, you come out, you don't even drive your car in, walk into the center of Florence, and I drove through the center of Florence, avoiding the actual ZTL emissions area, and drove out and didn't find it was a problem at all. You've just got to be a little bit aware of where everybody's coming from. So I'm going to go 50-50 between the Spanish and English, but I'm going to blame more the Italian roads on how scary it is to drive there than the actual people themselves. And that's what Scat says. Cities and towns. I'm going with Spain on this one, as I'm not been to many in Italy. Yes, and the architect. Here we go. Scat says the architecture. I prefer Spain's architecture. Italy seems more worn and tattered. Spain's village are prettier too. I'd say that Spain's is different. It's very, very, very different. I don't think I've got a village photo here. It's just completely different, isn't it? I mean, that was a beauty. That's near the pizza leading to our pizza, so I'm assuming that's not a representation of all villages. But yeah, it's just different. I will say they do look a little bit more battered in Italy, even on main tourist areas like that. And that's what Jane and Gareth said. Well, the architecture and culture, they said Spain, many sunny cities to explore, varied historical influences, and Italy, stunning cities with rich history and culture. It doesn't get any better. Yeah, I mean, the places I saw were pretty amazing, I have to say, and a little bit like Florence was too much to take in. Obviously, we just went for a day. You'd need a week in Florence to even understand what you're going to be going to see there. The geography, what we're saying here about the geography, yeah. Spain has stunning mountain size, Pueblos Blancos, amazing views, the best beaches in the world. Italy has spectacular coasts and islands, but it's seemed the part that I visited was an awful lot greener than where I live in Andalusia. You could be in the UK, so it's quite a welcome break, really, to go from here to there in summer. And Stu and Jesse, you should experience the drive from Naples to Sorrento. Absolute madness. Don't think you can find a vehicle without a dent. I can imagine that. I would imagine that. The weather, well, I found the weather to be similar to here, if not warmer. Scat says, well, obviously he's with Spain, one of the biggest reasons for tourism here in the south. It was pretty good in Italy, but we were up the north. Yeah, Italy's about the same as Spain, I think, when it comes to weather. One thing that Jane did mention here was the style, and I have to bring this up. And where I was Spain, not as appearance obsessed as Italy, but are very smart on occasions, fairs, church, and formal events. Everyone makes an effort to do their best. That is true. If you go to any sort of formal event here in Spain, you'll see that everybody gets dressed up to the nines. Like I was in a communion I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and it was just amazing to see how people get dressed up. But generally, they don't normally. Whereas in Italy, they're just effortlessly, as Jane says here, effortlessly stylish people who look good to know and know it. Only Italians look cool riding a scooter. This is true. Only the Italians look cool riding a scooter. Though I'm not a very stylish person. Can I say that? I'm not. Poor Lara has to pull her hair out. But I am going to show you now a photo of our last day. Lara said, if you don't wear it, you're going to be in trouble. I was like, I'm not wearing that. I'm definitely not wearing that. There's nowhere I'm wearing that. And now I've got to find a photo of it. Here we go. So I'm going to show you a photo of the most stylish you will ever see me. I forgot to take any loafers with me, so I'm wearing flip-flops, so sorry about that. But this is how Lara had me dressed on the last day. I mean, that's stylish, isn't it? You know, you can't beat that kind of style. Bless her. She does suffer with our style. And yeah, the man from Del Monte definitely said yes. And I don't think what we've got. Oh, this is a nice photo. Check this out from the top of the Leaning Tower Pizza. There we go. So we went stylish the last day, guys. We did do style on the last day to keep up with the Italians. But I have to say, My family do pull off the style a lot better than I do. But yeah, so if you see me walking around Malaga dressed as the man from Del Monte, it's not me. It was my wife. But yeah, it was nice. But the Italians are definitely more stylish, I have to say. They really are. And what else do we have here? I've mixed up all my notes now. We're speaking about sport. Yeah, they're very passionate about football in Italy, aren't they? I mean, they are here in Spain, but nothing like Italy at all. You know, here they're like, yeah. Who's winning? We're going to support them. That's it. Sorry, they've got very few people who are actual diehard. You think they would do when you see the matches, but most people, if they've got a NAF town, they'll just support Madrid or Barcelona. That's it. But it's Italy. I mean, they're just like, you know, they will support their home team to the death, don't they? And Sunjo said, yeah. Have to agree. Italians do look cool even on a scooter. They do. That's a nice pick. Thank you. Yeah, we've got some good ones actually. When we're at how you look fab, I agree. Italians always look so stylish. They do. Yeah, I don't know about looking fab though. But I've got that outfit at home, ready to rock another day. Here's a funny one. This is what I want to know. So this is when I didn't realize I was wearing my hat on back to front because I get the Panama the wrong way round. But then there's this guy who decided to sit in my cup. Look at that. And what's he doing in my cup? That was crazy. A man in my cup. And oh, this was another photo I was going to show you as well. Excuse my daughters, because you can't get a straight face from my daughter when we're taking a picture. But this was amazing. Now this is like the they call them caparones or something. These melons. What those melons called, guys? That type of melon, not honeydew, but the one which is really orange, bit light, and got it's green on the outside. Amazing. With the Parma ham. Now that was a fantastic meal. That was very light, and I loved that, and my daughter loved it even more. But I'm not a big fan of jamon serrano with melon here. I just don't think the two flavors complement each other. I think they're not as good together. Whereas the Parma ham with that melon really did. So yeah, that was something else that we thought about the food. And the other thing which was quite nice as well, which I'll show you this photo, which they don't do in Spain anymore, which they should bring back, is the carafes of wine. Why don't they do it? And you will notice there, look, this was just a light Chianti, dry, but almost seafood, great see-through, great for a summer's day. And they chucked a bit of ice in it. And everybody go, oh, no, you can't do that with wine. But why not? Why not can you get a carafe? That was €8. That was half a litre, a couple of glasses each. Chucked a bit of ice in it because the end of the day, you know, you get a lot of wine snobs who are like, oh, wine has to be at room temperature, whatever. You're never going to get it to room temperature when it's 40 degrees outside. So that's probably the best thing to have midday because it's only 12 degrees and 12% of wine, and to accompany your meal wider. In fact, it was the waiter who said to us, because I was looking at the wine list, he went, you see how hot it is? You're not going to get, you know, this is for night time if you want a steak, you know. If you're going to eat a bit of salad now, we'll chuck a cheap one on, and that's good. Yeah, maybe the look for Upsticks in office. Well, could be. To be honest, they struggled to get me out of a t-shirt. I was on appointments today, so I'm wearing my polo shirt, and even then I was wearing my shorts, my trainers. I'm going to be honest with you. I have got some smart shoes somewhere, but so that's it. A minute. Oh, I'm back again. There you go. I'll turn myself off. We're going to put this up here as well, the different QR code. If you want to buy us a coffee or buy us a Chianti, then you can donate to the Office Chianti Fund there. Can't guarantee we're going to spend it on a coffee. That's the only thing. Our tip for this week got spent on a McDonald's, but never mind. Thanks, Jane, Gareth, and Scats for all your notes. And thanks for you guys. 20 of you in the house now. That's lovely. Thanks for watching. I'm sure we can get up to the. How many subscribers are we on at the moment? Let's have a look. Did we make it? Did we make it during the show? Because my aim is 5,000. You know, by the end of the year. Don't know if we're going to get there. Did we make it? Did we make it? No, we're 2 away. 2 away for 4,500. Never mind. Thanks for watching, guys. And next week we are going to be having a bit of a summer show, warning you about the summer. Basically, what is going to be happening now for the next 8 to 10 weeks with immigration. What is going to be? I know Anne Kessler disappeared. Haha. Chris is back in the room. I don't know. I need a technician here, don't we? We're the good thing. I love having these on Thursdays because I come straight from like a day's work, and it's a lot better than Sundays. I used to be Sundays. I'm thinking about doing these less during the day because I just throw everything into the folder, and it's 5 minutes before, boom, let's go live and have a chat. And for me, it works a lot better, to be honest with you. Don't overthink things; just get stuck in. But yeah, so next week we're going to obviously give you updates from the week. If anybody can, or someone scan the QR code, cheers. If anybody can give us your photos from out and about, I think I've still got some more from you, Stu and Joe, to show. That's amazing. And we're going to talk about the summer, what to expect now if you're going through a TA renewal, what to expect if you are going for your visa, what happens in August, talking about the experience from the times last year and the years before. We've been speaking to our network of collaborators. For those of you who've been through the visa process, you know that we've got translators, people who do the apostilles, we've got professional translators do the documents both in UK and in Spain. We've got health insurance people, we've got people who is actually going to be off, what can you expect, what to avoid. That is next week's show. And Donald McKenzie says, got good news to tell you next week when we speak on the phone. Great, Donald. Great to see your house as well. Great to see you in. Cheers. And I am looking forward to our chat next week. Next week, we're going into July, say into summer hours in the office. See how that works out for us. Early starts, early finishes. Enjoy the afternoons with the family. That's the plan. Get out and about and do a few more videos. I'm looking forward to doing that. And yeah, so thanks for tuning in, guys. Still 16 in the house. We will speak to you next week, next Thursday. I've got loads of videos recorded which I haven't managed to get out. If you are on the channel, check out the driving around videos. They don't get a lot of views, but it does give you an awful lot of coverage of what it's actually like to be out and about in Spain. And I'm going to say goodbye.